2020 Game Awards, BioWare revealed a teaser trailer for the next game in the Mass Effect series. It was light on details, but the sci-fi universe seems to be heading back to the Milky Way after its 2017 detour to the Andromeda Galaxy. With that on the horizon and the remastered Legendary Edition just around the corner, we thought it'd be a good time to recap just how we got here. To that end, here's the entire Mass Effect story so far.
I'm not sure, but it might have something to do with these paintings. Is that Leviathan?
Our story actually starts millions and millions of years before the events of Mass Effect 1. Long before humans traveled across the stars, the Milky Way was ruled by a species of giant telepathic squids known as Leviathan. Tired of seeing fledgling civilizations wiped out as their technological advances outpaced their ability to control artificial intelligence and synthetic life, the Leviathan wanted to preserve the organics and so created their own artificial intelligence called the Catalyst to find a solution, and well, guess how that turned out. Naturally, the Catalyst decided that the only way to preserve organic life was to harvest its DNA like crops, and so it predictably wiped out the Leviathan and used their genetic material to create hybrid organic synthetic constructs known as Reapers, and built a network of mass relays that allowed spacefaring civilizations to travel instantly between star systems and also helped the Catalyst harvest organics more efficiently. This cycle went on for millions of years, with countless species being wiped out and their DNA harvested to make more Reapers. In the final cycle before Mass Effect 1, a species called the Protheans managed to protect remnants of their technology and culture, which species like humanity found and used to accelerate their arrival into the galactic community, leading them to believe that the Protheans were responsible for technology like the mass relays in the Citadel. Humans were the last, quote, developed species to arrive in Citadel space, and after a bunch of backstory with stuff like the First Contact Wars, Mass Effect 1 kicks off with galactic society being led by three main groups: the diplomatic Asari, militaristic Turians, and Salarian scientists, plus a galaxy's worth of politics and conflict already underway. You've got the inventive Quarians, who had become refugees from their own homeworld after creating a race of sentient machines known as the Geth that led a deadly planet-wide uprising, #Leviathan was right. Then there's the more barbarous Krogan species that have been uplifted from their pre-spaceflight days to fight for the Salarians against a brood of monstrous space bugs known as the Rachni, but then the Salarians infected them with a sterility plague called the Genophage to prevent their own spread and eventual rebellion. Yeah, it was a lot.
The Arcturus Prime relays in range. Initiating transmission sequence.
Anyways, after all this, now begins the first Mass Effect game. Commander Your Name Here Shepard is a soldier in the Systems Alliance being considered for the Citadel's Special Tactics and Reconnaissance Unit, aka Spectre. Basically the equivalent of a sci-fi Jack Bauer. With their trainee badge firmly in place, they accompany the Turian Spectre Nihilus to retrieve a Prothean beacon from the human colony of Eden Prime, but quickly discover that the Geth had invaded the colony accompanied by a massive ship that they'd never seen before. Spoiler, it's a Reaper. On their way to the beacon, the two are betrayed by their fellow Spectre, Saren, who kills Nihilus. Shepard manages to prevent the destruction of the entire colony, but upon reaching the Prothean beacon, gets pulled into the device and, before it explodes, is shown a glimpse of an impending Reaper harvest. Shepard wakes up back on the Normandy and returns to the Citadel to inform the Council of Saren's treachery. Without any tangible proof of Saren's betrayal, however, the Human Council Ambassador Donna Ludina tells Shepard that they'll have to start an off-the-books investigation. This leads to Shepard meeting series mainstays like Turian CSEC officer Garrus Vakarian, a Krogan bounty hunter Urdnot Wrex, and a Quarian named Tali'Zorah Naraya, and culminates in the reveal that both Saren and Asari matriarch Benezia are allied with the Geth and searching for something called the Conduit, bringing them closer to the return of the Reapers.
Eden Prime was a major victory. The beacon has brought us one step closer to finding the Conduit.
Saren is stripped of his Spectre authority while Shepard is inducted into their ranks and named the commanding officer of the Normandy, thus beginning a group jaunt across the Milky Way to stop Saren from bringing about the end of organic life as we know it. The crew rescues Asari researcher Dr. Liara T'Soni, tracks down and defeats Benezia, who's also Liara's mom, Scandal, and is given a Prothean cipher to help understand their visions from the beacon on Eden Prime. Lastly, Shepard heads to the planet Vermeer, where Saren was breeding a new Krogan army after engineering a cure for the Genophage. Shepard decides to destroy the facility and the cure along with it. Now, this makes Wrex none too happy, though whether he survives their disagreement depends on how good his bond is with Shepard. With the plan in motion, Shepard must choose one of his crewmates, either Ashley Williams or Caden Alenko, to help plant the bomb while the others explore the base. They discover that Saren was studying the effects of what's called Reaper indoctrination. Basically, he was afraid that they were brainwashing him to do their bidding, and he wasn't wrong. They also found and activated another Prothean beacon, completing the vision that they were originally given on Eden Prime. Then the group was greeted by Sovereign, the first of the Reapers, who reveals the truth about the Citadel and the mass relays.
There is a realm of existence so far beyond your own, you cannot even imagine it.
As the two groups prepare for evacuation, they're both pinned down by Geth, forcing Shepard to choose between saving Kaidan or saving Ashley, as one person is left to die when the facility blows up, and the other continues to play a role for the rest of the trilogy. Saren also shows up, and he's sporting the galaxy's sickest hoverboard, but he can't stop Shepard from destroying the base and escaping. Back on the Normandy, Liara mind melds with Shepard to see what new information the second beacon gave the commander, and learns that the conduit is on a planet called Ilos. The Council is uninterested in recovering the artifact, though, choosing only to protect the Citadel, so the Normandy crew disobeys its orders and heads to Ilos on their own. There, Shepard discovers that the conduit Saren had been searching for was actually a one-way mass relay created by the Protheans that instantly transports its user to the Citadel. Saren's plans had been to use the conduit to allow Sovereign quick access to the station and bring in the Reaper fleet in one fell swoop. Using the conduit, Shepard jumps back to the Citadel, where Sovereign's assault has already begun and Saren has gained control of the station. Shepard manages to convince Saren of his indoctrination, and the former Spectre kills himself as a final defense against Sovereign's influence, though the Reaper just possesses his corpse for a boss fight like an instant later. Anyway, with Saren dealt with, Shepard must decide whether to focus the humans' attack on Sovereign or save the Galactic Council. The former choice lets the Council die, while the latter decision saves them at the expense of a bunch of human lives. Regardless of their choice, Sovereign is taken out by the Alliance's fleet, and Shepard appoints either Urdnot or their old CO David Anderson as human representative on the Council while the Citadel begins to rebuild. The Council fails to take the Reaper threat seriously, however, and sends the Normandy to patrol the Terminus system for Geth, where Shepard and their crew are attacked by a mysterious vessel. The Normandy is destroyed and Shepard is killed, though their body is recovered by the mysterious Shadow Broker and their criminal cohort, eventually ending up in the hands of the even shadowier pro-human Cerberus organization thanks to a tenuous partnership with Liara T'Soni. 2 years later, Shepard wakes up in a lab thanks to the Lazarus Project, a Cerberus-funded program solely devoted to reviving Shepard. The facility is under attack by its own security bots, but Shepard escapes thanks to the help of Cerberus operatives Jacob Taylor and Miranda Lawson. The two direct Shepard to Cerberus' leader, known only as Martin Sheen, the Elusive Man, who informs them that an unknown threat is abducting human colonies in the Terminus systems, which he believes is tied to the Reapers.
We're committed to the advancement and preservation of humanity. If the Reapers are targeting us, trying to wipe us out, Cerberus will stop them.
Shepard and their squad of Cerberus operatives head to the recently attacked colony of Freedom's Progress, where they're told by a Quarian that Collectors, a race of hive-minded aliens made from the husks of Protheans, are the ones responsible for the missing humans. The Elusive Man tells Shepard to stop the Collectors. They'll need to pass through the Omega-4 relay, which is thought to lead to the Collector homeworld. Cerberus gives Shepard a new ship, the Normandy SR-2, modeled after the original, along with returning pilot Joker and a shackled AI called EDI, the Enhanced Defense Intelligence. From there, it's up to Shepard to gather the crew that they'll bring through the relay. Shepard's Recruitathon assembles a team of capable soldiers, tech experts, and biotic powerhouses, including the Cerberus operatives Miranda and Jacob, Salarian Dr. Morden Solus, the Drell assassin Thane, the biotic adept Jack, New Krogan heavy Grunt, a rebellious Geth called Legion, the Asari Justicar Samara, and old friends Garrus and Tali. After collecting them all, and maybe completing some loyalty missions, Shepard and the Normandy SR-2 crew are ready to head through the Omega-4 relay and take the fight to the Collectors. Now, depending on your choices throughout the game so far, jumping through the relay can go really good or really, really bad. We're going to assume here that Shepard did all the necessary missions and picks the right people for the right job so that they don't get everybody killed. Immediately on the defensive, Shepard and Cope reach the Collector's base and learn that they're melting humans down into genetic goo to create a human-type Reaper. Shepard could choose to either destroy the base and the new Reaper along with it, or use a radiation pulse to kill the remaining Collectors and give the base to the Elusive Man for study. Regardless of which choice they make, the leader of the Collectors is revealed to have been under the direct control of the Reaper Harbinger, who disconnects just as the bomber blast goes off. Destroying the base will end Shepard's relationship with Cerberus immediately, whereas preserving it leaves them on more amicable terms. At least until Mass Effect 3. At this point, there are a couple of DLCs set between games. In Lair of the Shadow Broker, Liara T'Soni takes the spotlight to hunt down the elusive crime boss. It's honestly pretty light fare, but the short version is she settles a personal vendetta and becomes the new Shadow Broker herself. In Arrival, Shepard learns that the Reaper invasion plan is much further along than expected, and the Bahak system, home to the Batarian homeworld, is destroyed in an effort to delay the harvest. It's also at this point in the chronology that Mass Effect Andromeda starts its story, but we're going to hold off until we finish the original trilogy to get to that. Following the destruction of the Bahak system, Shepard finds himself subject to a military trial in Vancouver, trying to convince Earth officials of the Reaper threat as the invasion begins. Sent off planet by now Admiral Anderson, along with Kaidan or Ashley, depending on who survived Mass Effect 1, Shepard is tasked with gathering forces to help take back Earth, which is suffering the brunt of the attack. During their escape from Earth, Shepard watches a child's escape shuttle get destroyed by Reapers, and then spends the rest of the game having nightmares about it. The Normandy's first stop is to collect the Liara at the Prothean archives on Mars, which they find under attack by Cerberus forces led by the android Eva Kore. Liara explains that she found a blueprint for a mysterious device left behind by the Protheans called the Crucible, and the Normandy's crew sets out to search for it. Meanwhile, Cerberus and the Elusive Man want it for themselves, believing it'll help them control the Reapers.
The data in these artifacts holds the key to solving the Reaper threat.
Eva manages to steal some of the data, but gets taken down by Shepard after wounding the Vermeer survivor, Kaidan or Ashley, and takes her body back on board the Normandy to return to the Citadel for medical attention and to brief the Council. While Kaidan or Ashley recover, Shepard's request for help with building the Crucible and locating its missing component called the Catalyst, along with the defenses of Earth, are denied by the Council, who claim that their resources are already spread too thin. However, the Turian Council privately tells Shepard that if they can rescue the Turian Primarch on their homeworld of Palaven, he would arrange for reinforcements to be sent to Earth. And here begins the part of Mass Effect 3 that may as well be called Shepard Becomes a Galactic Marriage Counselor, because they're about to heal about a millennia of cultural trauma in like 6 weeks. On Palaven's moon, the Turians tell Shepard that they need Krogan support to hold the Turian homeworld from the Reapers, but the Krogans hate the Turians, because of that whole forced sterilization and genocide thing. Shepard gets them on board by helping Morden find a cure for the genophage, which can then be either distributed on the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, which results in one of the saddest video game deaths of all time, depending on your choices, or it can be sabotaged for additional Salarian support in the war. Shepard also squashes the beef between the Quarians and the Geth, or at least one of them, anyways. See, the Quarians had decided that the middle of this Reaper invasion was the perfect time to try and reclaim their homeworld from the Geth, who have totally allied themselves with the Reapers to strengthen their forces against the Quarians. After destroying the local Reaper, Legion modifies the Reaper's code in order to upload a key for the Geth to gain individual free will. Legion sacrifices himself in the upload process, which Shepard can choose to stop or allow. If they stop it, the Quarians destroy the remaining Geth. If they let it go, the Geth rebel and eventually exterminate the Quarians. There's also a very particular combo of choices that lets Shepard convince both sides to just chill out and live in harmony together, but regardless of how it all shakes out, Shepard gains at least one new ally in the fight to save Earth. Oh, also, Udina totally sells out the Citadel to Cerberus' resident cyborg ninja assassin Kai Leng, who tries to take it over. Now, depending on their relationship with Kaidan or Ashley, who's been now promoted to Spectre, Shepard can either convince them that Udina's a traitor and they take him down together, or they have to fight and then Udina eats a bullet. Either way, Kai Leng, escapes and Udina ends up dead. Later, the Asari counselor sends Shepard to her homeworld Thessia for something that could help with the creation of the Crucible. There, they find another Prothean beacon like the one on Eden Prime, this one housing a VI called Vendetta, which tells Shepard and their friends about how, in the Prothean cycle, an indoctrinated splinter faction insisted on controlling the Reapers and sabotaged several efforts to build the Crucible. Sound familiar? The Protheans realized that the cyclical nature of the Reaper invasions meant that there must be some sort of puppet master behind it all, but they could never determine who it was or why they were doing it. Before Vendetta can tell Shepard what the missing Crucible component is, though, Kai Leng shows up and uses cutscene magic to steal the VI. Luckily, Normandy specialist Samantha Traynor traces Kai Leng's shuttle route to a refugee camp called Sanctuary, which Shepard discovers is actually a Cerberus front. Led by Henry Lawson, Miranda's father, the colony is turning refugees into husks to test the Elusive Man's theories on controlling the Reapers. Kai Leng has already left, but thanks to either a tracking beacon left on him by Miranda or shipment logs in Sanctuary's database, Shepard is led to the Elusive Man's base of operations in the Anadius system. With the Crucible's construction complete, save for the Catalyst, the Alliance launches an assault on the Cerberus base, where Shepard discovers that they've salvaged pieces of the human Reaper from Mass Effect 2, which likely has resulted in the Elusive Man's indoctrination. This is confirmed when EDI recovers the VI, which informs the group that the Catalyst is the Citadel, and that the Elusive Man has informed the Reapers of Shepard's plans to use it. As a result, the Reapers relocate the Citadel to Earth, where the majority of their forces are. Kai Leng shows up for one more fight, but totally whiffs it, and Shepard heads back to Earth.
That was profane, you son of a bitch.
Admiral Hackett leads Shepard's gathered fleet to Earth to support the London-based human resistance, with the plan being to get someone onto the Citadel, conveniently parked right overhead, to open its arms so that the Crucible can dock. After fighting their way to the Reaper conduit, like from Mass Effect 1, Shepard and Anderson are both wounded, but they make it aboard the Citadel where they're confronted by the Elusive Man, who's sporting a fresh set of Reaper implants to give him the power to control other organics. Using these new abilities, he forces Shepard to kill Anderson. And then Shepard can either convince the Elusive Man of his indoctrination, causing him to kill himself, or antagonize him to the point where he drops his guard and Shepard can shoot him themselves. Shepard manages to open the Citadel's arms in the Crucible docks, but nothing happens. Passing out from blood loss, they're transported to a section of the station where the device is connected. Here, Shepard is greeted by the Catalyst itself, that ancient AI made by the Leviathan that created and controlled the Reapers. Appearing to the Commander as the kid from the beginning, it explains its purpose of preserving organic life by any means necessary, emphasis on the any. With the Crucible in the mix, however, the Catalyst is open to a new solution, and gives Shepard a choice. They can 1. Use the Crucible to destroy all synthetic life, including the Geth and Edie, and end the Reaper cycles forever. 2. Take the Catalyst's place and control the Reapers, which will sacrifice their corporeal form. Or 3. Add Shepard's life force, it's kinda messy, to the Crucible itself to merge all synthetic and organic life into a new hybrid form. Shepard can also refuse to make a decision, though this results in the continuation of the cycle and the subsequent death of everyone they've ever loved, so we're going to assume that they pick one of the other options. Regardless of which choice Shepard makes, the Crucible fires through the mass relay network, which is destroyed in the process, though the damage is less extensive in the synthesis or control endings, and the Normandy crash lands on an unknown planet. The crew holds a brief memorial service for their commander, though if Shepard chose the destroy option and had accumulated enough war assets before the end of the game, there is a brief cutscene showing that they might have survived. No matter what happens though, with the harvest cycles over and the mass relays destroyed, the galaxy is undeniably and forever changed. Okay, now that we're through the main series, let's rewind to the end of Mass Effect 2. Under the guise of outward expansion, but in reality as a last-ditch effort to preserve galactic civilization in the event of a successful Reaper attack in the Milky Way, the Andromeda Initiative launches a one-way expedition to the next galaxy over. The first wave of the initiative consists of 4 ARC ships, one for each species, Turians, humans, Salarians, and Asari, and the flagship dubbed the Nexus, which carries a mix of species and will serve as sort of a hub for the other ARCs. Each ARC has what's called a Pathfinder, a specialist who will effectively serve as leader and guide for each species as they explore this new galaxy. Partnered with each Pathfinder is a Simulated Adaptive Matrix, or SAM, a biosynthetic implant which can provide analytical support equivalent to a year's worth of research and study in a matter of seconds. This advanced AI was created by Alec Ryder, the human Pathfinder, initially as a means of finding a cure for his terminally ill wife. The initiative sets sail for Andromeda's Helios cluster, jumps into their cryostasis pods for a very long nap while they leave the Milky Way behind, and we flash forward the 600 or so years it takes to cross the dark space between galaxies and make sure you don't have to worry about franchise continuity. While the members of the initiative were in cryosleep, though, the Andromeda Galaxy was dealing with its own issues. An advanced species called the Jardan had basically turned the Helios cluster into one big experiment, creating a terraforming network, later referred to as remnant tech by the initiative, that spanned the entire system, which could be found in ancient vaults on multiple planets. An unknown conflict involving the Jardan resulted in the near destruction of a network control center called Meridian, and released a dark energy cloud that became known as the Scourge, enveloping and damaging the environment and technology on planets all around the Helios cluster. The Jardan abandoned the system, leaving behind their terraforming technology, some robots, and even a sentient genetically engineered species called the Angara that were left to expand across the cluster, eventually founding their own culture and customs. A little over a century later, the Ket, a hostile alien race of unknown origins, arrive in the cluster and begin abducting Angaran citizens and overriding their genetic structure with Ket genes in a process they call exaltation. Several hundred years later, the Nexus is the first initiative ship to arrive in the galaxy, but is set off course when it collides with the Scourge energy cloud. Several key personnel die in the aftermath, including the initiative's founder, Jen Garson, leaving the Salarian Jaren Tan the new head of the Andromeda Initiative. With the Scourge having rendered the planets that the Andromeda Initiative planned to colonize inhospitable, passengers on the Nexus were faced with the reality that they had traveled 600 years for what appeared to be a catastrophic failure. With supplies dwindling and unrest spreading, a full-on revolt eventually begins against the Initiative's leadership. Tan wakes up the Krogan Nakmor clan to help end the rebellion, but the clan's leader, Nakmor Morta, demands the Krogans have a seat on the Initiative's council in exchange for helping them fight off the mutiny. The Krogans succeeded, but Tan reneges on the deal and both the rebels and the Krogans are exiled from the Initiative, settling on the planets Kadara and Eladon respectively. 14 months later, Alec Ryder arrives in Andromeda on the human arc as it collides with another cloud of Scourge energy. One of his twin children, the other of whom is Yu, so we'll just call them Ryder from now on, ends up comatose after a power surge damages their cryopod. And Alec, along with the rest of his Pathfinder team, that's Yu, Liam Costa, and Cora Harper, head down to the targeted planet known as Habitat 7 to find out what had gone wrong. Upon landing, the team runs into the Ket, which sort of puts a damper on the whole peaceful first contact thing, and follows a strange signal to a remnant monolith where Alec and Sam are able to hack into its vault and stabilize the planet's weather, but the monolith's decontamination field pushes both riders out into the toxic atmosphere and breaks the young rider's helmet. To save them, Alec gives them his helmet and transfers his Sam to their implant. Ryder wakes up back on Hyperion to learn that their father didn't survive, and while the title wasn't meant to be hereditary, they find themselves the only person with a functioning Sam, and thus the new human Pathfinder.
All right. I got us here. Good luck, Pathfinder.
Ryder decides to find the Nexus where they learn just how poorly things have gone up to this point and quickly have the fate of the entire Initiative placed on their shoulders. Given a ship called the Tempest, the Pathfinder team heads to Eos, where the Initiative has been trying to make some headway on their colonization efforts. There, Ryder meets Nakmor Drak, one of the few Krogans still associated with the Initiative, and Peebee, an Asari researching the remnant tech left by the Jardan. Peebee directs them to a vault that Sam and Ryder are able to use to terraform the planet and make its atmosphere breathable, thus restoring one of the Initiative's so-called Golden Worlds. A map inside the vault shows the team others all across the cluster, which leads them to Aya, a planet inhabited by the native Angara. En route, the Tempest is attacked by the leader of the Ket, called the Archon, who's taken an interest in Ryder's ability to use the remnant tech. Sam hacks the Archon ship to release the Tempest from his clutches, and the group lands on Aya to meet the locals. Being distrustful of newcomers, the Angara are hesitant to assist Ryder with the local vault until the Pathfinder team helps their resistance leader, Jal Amadara, fight off the Ket invaders and rescue their head scientist, the Moshe, from a Ket facility on the planet Vold. During the rescue, the Angara discover the truth of Ket exaltation, that the enemies they've been fighting are the mutated remains of their friends and family. Bummer.
Us.
Back on Aya, Ryder and Moshe Shefa enter the vault and discover the remnant network seems to have a master control center called Meridian, corroborating something that Moshe heard while she was in Ket captivity. She suggests the Archon may have an artifact that's key to finding Meridian. En route to assault the Ket ship, the Pathfinder team realizes the Salarian arc is tethered to it, and the Ket are using Salarians on board for their own experiments. Ryder and their squad team up with the Salarian Pathfinder Zevin Reka as she sneaks into the Archon ship to try and rescue the Salarian prisoners. Ryder gets trapped by the Archon, who injects them with a device that shows him their memories so he can learn how they use the remnant tech. Sam uses its connection to Ryder's body to briefly kill the Pathfinder in order to break the Archon's connection and escape. While moving through the ship, the team finds an exalted Krogan, one of a group reported missing by Nakmor Drak. After finding the artifact in the Archon's chambers and extracting the info from it, Ryder has to choose whether to save Reka and her squad or rescue Drak's missing scouts on their way out.
This is the last chance for Drak scouts. The Archon will turn them into monsters.
It's here that Ryder can either head straight into the endgame or go on a handful of plot-critical but somehow not required missions, including finding the Asari and Turian arcs and saving their Pathfinders along with them, discovering a splinter faction of Ket rebelling against the Archon's obsession with remnant tech, interfering with their ultimate goal to exalt the entire Helios cluster, and discovering that their mom is still alive and awaiting a cure in cryostasis. Totally optional though, definitely not important. Wild, huh? Anyways, Ryder follows the coordinates from the artifact to a remnant city, which isn't Meridian itself, but instead the Key T'Sira control node, ground zero for the release of the Scourge and the birthplace of the Angara, and they learn that the Jardan had planned to eventually return and finish the work that they had started. The actual Meridian that serves as the heart of the remnant vault network was separated from Key T'Sira and sent away through the Helios cluster on autopilot. Activating a fleet of remnant ships in the city, Ryder and their team managed to piece together the navigational data with a map of the cluster to pinpoint Meridian's current location. As Ryder prepares to reach Meridian, they learn that the Archon has captured the Hyperion arc to use Sam to activate Meridian for himself, which severs Ryder's connection to the AI. The Archon also takes their twin captive as both hostage and host for Sam's ability to use the remnant tech through their implant. Ryder uses their now Samless implant to control the remnant ships in the city, giving them a fleet to match the Kets as the two groups head to Meridian for a final battle. Both factions enter the station's hollow center and find it houses a living biome, fully capable of supporting life. Ryder pursues the Archon towards Meridian's control center, accompanied by various allies they've made throughout the game, including Angaran Resistance Fighters, Initiative Forces, and the Krogan Scouts or Rakus Pathfinder Squad. Once the Archon reaches the control center, he leaves the Hyperion with Ryder's twin and the ship crashes. With its arc sufficiently planted in there, everyone sort of unanimously agrees that humanity would get to live in Meridian after, and if, the day is won. Ryder faces off with the Archon in the control center, ultimately defeating him to save their twin and activate Meridian to make planets habitable again. The day is won, and the Andromeda Initiative is assumed to prosper in their newfound home galaxy, but we still don't know what threats exist beyond the Helios cluster, and of course, the Ket threat still remains. And we might be seeing them in the next Mass Effect game, which BioWare's devs are hinting will bring the Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way together in some way. But all we know for now, though, is that Liara appears to be in it. Which is cool, but it doesn't tell us much. In the meantime, thanks for catching up on the story so far with us. For more on Mass Effect, check out how the original game stacks up against the remastered Legendary Edition, and for everything else, stick around on IG.